Hello friends, it's me, Genevieve123, and welcome to my weekly wrap-up for the first week of June. Basically, since I'm planning on reading so many books this month, I wanted to split my wrap-up into more reasonable chunks so you're not having to watch a super long one at the end of the month, and also so I'll remember what each book is about. I am doing a weekly vlog, but I know it's gonna be so long, and I understand if people don't want to watch that because I don't know if I would want to watch that if roles were reversed, so I decided to do this as well, so it's like you can watch like one or the other and you'll still be able to know what I'm reading, but you don't have to watch me ramble for an hour. Yeah, so let's just get started. The first book that I read this week was We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Miha. I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I bought the sequel right away. It's amazing. So the kind of setup of this world is that this island is split up into 2 sections. So we have the inner section who is like living lavishly, doing the most, like living a good life, and then there's like a huge wall, and then there's the outer section which are like on the brink of poverty. They don't have like good healthcare, all that stuff, and then that was like set in place by like these ancient gods, and now they're just like holding it because that's what power differences do. They want to stay in power. But then we're following Daniela, and she is from the outer side of the wall, but she's like hiding that, like no one knows that, it's a secret. She's from the outer side of the wall, and she is on the inside going to the school for girls, and in this place in Medio, which is the name of the island, girls are trained to be wives, and they're going to be either, there's 2 different types of like wives you can be. So basically each, on like at least the inner side of the wall, each marriage is 1 man and then 2 wives, and it's not like a polyamorous thing, it's just like they're both there for the man. And it's set because like some ancient god had 2 wives, now all of them have 2 wives, and how the wives are kind of organized, I guess, is one is the primera, and she is kind of like the brain. She is like the business partner almost of the man, and she's like not emotional, she's very rational, she's there to like help him with like political pursuits or like anything else, like she's like that kind of side. And then the other side is like, I guess, the heart, that is the segunda, and it took me an embarrassing long time to realize that was just first and second. Like I didn't realize until it was like 3/4 of the way in or something. I was like, that makes so much sense. But the segunda is like the one that they have more of like, I guess, a romantic relationship with. She's the mother of the children and like raises them and whatnot. And so yeah, so that's the way it works. And Danny is at this really prestigious school training to be a primera, and then she gets chosen and she's like getting married and whatnot. But then this like resistance group, this like rebel group, starts like contacting her and asking her to help them because they know her secret, and also they're trying to obviously give the people who are in poverty like liberation, because they all could be chill, but it's like the one people are all the way up here and the other people all the way down here. So and then it kind of starts from that. This book is sapphic and it is amazing, and I can't wait to read the sequel, and more people need to talk about this. I read this for the Pride-a-thon underhyped book, and it fit a bunch of prompts for the Studio Ghibli readathon. I could probably find them if I tried. So for the Pride-a-thon, this fit a LGBTQ relationship, and then it fit a bunch of prompts, so I counted it for pride flag because it kind of, like, if I get rid of this part, it reminds me of the bisexual flag. But if I get rid of this part, it reminds me of the lesbian flag. So I counted it, and then an author debut, a book that I hauled in the last year, POC rep. Then I also counted it for buddy read because I'm on the Discord server. And then for the Studio Ghibli readathon, I counted this as a book with a fiery or spicy main character because, yes. And then a book with a colorful cover, and a book with romance. So, yeah. And then the next book I read was Moonstruck Volume 1, Magic to Brew. This was a reread for me. I've had this book since I think I bought it last year. I've read it before, I didn't love it, but I was going through the graphic novels that I have because I want to add some to my TBR this month so then I can read more. And so I decided I would reread this to see if I wanted to continue on, and I didn't like it. I really liked the world. It could have been so good, but the plot just didn't make sense to me. So this is like some kind of alternate reality world where most people are some kind of like magical creatures. So like our main character and her girlfriend are both werewolves, and then her best friend is a centaur, and there's like a, I don't know, vampire, I don't know. There's lots of different characters, and I love the world, and she like works as a barista. She does. She's the main character. She's the love interest. And it's a graphic novel, and it's like really pretty, but just the plot made no sense. It did kind of, if this was just kind of like a romance set in this like mystical fantasy world, I would love this. I would love where it went. But it wasn't. They tried to do this like magical thing, and it just was a lot. And I was like, what? And then it felt really like rushed near the end, and so I didn't love it. I ended up giving it 2 stars, and I am just gonna unhaul it and take the next 2 off of my list. I feel bad, but I was also reading the reviews for later novels, for the later volumes, and people kind of agreed. And also like the relationship is like, at times it's like kind of toxic. Like she doesn't seem to care that much. Like the one girl, our main character, is obviously like going through stuff. She really has like problems like second guessing, and like I don't know, she's going through some like mental health stuff, you can kind of tell. And then our other girl's not really that supportive of it. She's kind of like pushy, and apparently that gets worse in the other volumes. So I'm just gonna say goodbye to this. Okay, so I didn't count this for anything for Prideathon. It didn't fit any of this week's prompts. And then for the whatever-a-thon, I counted it as LGBTQ and as team genre because it is like this kind of urban fantasy thing. And then it also was hauled in the past year, has a POC rep, and fit a TBR prompt because my TBR prompt was non-human main character, and a main character is a werewolf. And then for the Studio Ghibli readathon, I counted this as witches or magical elements, binge read because I read this all at once, a book featuring dreams, curses, or flight. There was some curses in this, and a book featuring a mystical world. So yeah. Then the next book I read was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerman. This was another reread, but this one I actually really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars. I honestly think I enjoyed it this time more than last time. It's funny because I was looking, I read it almost exactly a year ago, like almost to the dates. I want to reread this because I want to read the sequel, but I kind of forgot what happened in this one, and it was really good. This is the Beauty and the Beast retelling. It is about Harper. She gets like kind of plucked from our world and sent to this like alternate world where it is like a kingdom and whatnot, and it's just so good. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the ending, how it was kind of like it was a good ending, but it was also like, ooh, like left up to stuff, and I'm excited. The epilogue really, how did I not pick up the sequel right away? The epilogue, so good. But I think I enjoyed this more this time because I wasn't focused on just reading retellings, so I kind of had like a fresh slate. Last year I was really focused on the retellings. And yeah, this, what did I count this for? This I counted for Prideathon. I counted this for read a book with a strong female protagonist because Harper is amazing. She just like steps up. She also has, what was it? Cerebral palsy, and that like doesn't stop her, I guess, in a way. Like it affects her life. It's a part of her life. But I think, I mean, I don't have cerebral palsy, so I can't really say, but from what I can tell, that seemed to be like pretty good. For Whatever-a-thon, I counted this for my team genre because yes, it's set in this fantasy world, but it's like alternate to our world, so I thought it was close enough. This book did have an LGBTQ plus relationship, but they weren't like a main focus, so I didn't count it for that prompt because that felt a little pushing the edge. Then I counted this as a comfort reread, and then I counted it for a poll prompt because I actually got my mom to pick a book from the stack of books that I had, so she picked this, so that counts as a poll. Disability rep and team color because there's the bit of green on the clovers. For the Studio Ghibli readathon, I counted this as a book with her comfort trope, kind of. I still don't fully understand what like classifies that, but a book with at least one healthy parental relationship. I felt like Harper and a mom, although they didn't have, Harper and a mom I feel like had a decent relationship. Witches or magical elements because there is the sorceress, and also the curse that man has is magical. Book featuring dreams, curses, or flight. Again, he's cursed. And a book with family illness or illness rep. So like I said, she has cerebral palsy, so that is illness. A book featuring a mystical world, and a book featuring a sibling relationship, and a book with romance. So it counted for a lot for the Studio Ghibli Readathon. And so, yes. Then I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. I read a bit of this every day because it was split up into the days of the week, so I decided to prolong it. That went really well. I enjoyed doing that. Didn't work as great as at the end because I really wanted to know what was happening next, but I was making myself stop. I love this book. I ended up giving it 5 stars. It might be more of a 4-star, but I don't really care. I gave it 5 stars. That's what I got. I really related to the characters. The way Alice Oseman writes just feels really real to, like, but probably because she's an author that's, like, close to my age and whatnot. So I don't know. It just felt really real, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It's dual perspectives. So the one perspective we get is Angel, and she is like a super fan of the Arc, which is this famous boy band. In my mind, they were kind of like One Direction. The famous boy band trio, and she's like obsessed with them, and she goes to visit her online friend for a week to like hang out, meet each other in real life, and also to go see the concert at the end of the week. And then our other perspective is Jimmy, and he is one of the 3 members of the Arc, and he is dealing with a lot of stuff. And it was really, Alice Oseman seems to write fame really well. Like, I feel like with famous people and celebrities, we kind of forget that they're real people. Like, I don't know, I just forget, like, oh, that, like, they're dealing with their own stuff as well as, like, just like everyone else is. They just don't have a break because everyone's always watching them. And it was just, I felt like it was really well done. And I loved it, and I related a lot to the characters, like I said, and there's a lot of rep in this, and it's amazing. And also, this cover, the 2 little people that are highlighted are our main characters, Angel and Jimmy, and that just makes me so happy. So, what did I count this for? For Prideathon, it didn't fit any of the prompts of this week, so I didn't count it. And then for Whatever You Want-a-thon, I counted it for LGBTQ plus rep because, like, Alice the author is LGBTQ, but also a lot of the characters were as well in this. I counted it as POC rep, a buddy read, and mental health rep. There is a lot of mental health rep in Alice's books. I will link down below the content warnings before you go into this because she does dive into a lot of things. So, oh, Studio Ghibli. I counted this as At Long Last TBR because I've been wanting to read all of Alice Oseman's books since I read Heartstopper last year, a book featuring unconventional love. It didn't focus as much on romantic love as, like, love of a band and love of friends and that sort of thing. A book with at least 1 healthy parental relationship, a focus on mental health, and a book with a missing person. So then the last 3 books I read are all graphic novels. So first off, we have Brightly Woven by Alexander Bracken. This I didn't realize until after, like, I searched up to add it, is a, like, graphic novel version of her book, Brightly Woven. It was fine. It wasn't for me. It was not what I was expected. I was kind of bored. I read it way fast. I gave it 3 stars, but it probably might be a 2-star. I'm not quite sure. I didn't hate it, but it just didn't give me anything. I did really like the magic because he's a wizard and kind of his, like, type of magic he can use is dependent on which cloak he's wearing, and I think that's really cool. And she was a weaver, and the art was really pretty, but yeah, the story itself just wasn't really for me. I didn't count this for anything for Prideathon, but for Whatever-a-thon, I counted it as a non-human main character and the team color. So the team color is green, and I mean, her top is kind of like a yellow green, but also he's got a bit of green on his hood. So, like, it's not a lot, but I'm counting it. Oh, and for the Studio Ghibli Readathon, I counted this as a book with a colorful cover, a book with at least 1 healthy parental relationship, witches or magical elements, binge read, a book featuring dreams, curses, or flight, and that is all. Then the next book I read was The Hidden Witch by Molly Knox Ostertag. This book was really good. I read the first one last year, and now I'm reading the second one. The first one follows this boy, and in his family, all the boys learn shapeshifter magic and have shapeshifter magic, and all the boys have shapeshifter magic, and all the girls have witches magic, but he is a boy, and he is witches magic, and the first one's kind of him, like, coming to terms with that, and then him making a new friend, Charlie, and then also something more sinister was going on in the background, and I really liked it, so I finally picked up the sequel, and I also really like this. it kind of delved, it was a new story, but it kind of followed up the old one. We had a new character come into play, and it's just, the ending was like happy and made me happy, and yes. So I gave this book 4 stars. I didn't count it for anything for Prideathon, it didn't fit any of the week's prompts again, but I did count it as LGBTQ plus FAP because the author is LGBTQ. Some of the characters haven't like explicitly said something, but I'm sensing some of them might be part of that community. And then team genre because it's like kind of urban fantasy, and then POC rep and TBR prompt because non-human main character. He is a witch. And then for the Studio Ghibli Beatathon, I counted it as a book with a wholesome and pure main character. He's just really sweet, and so is she. They actually, both her main characters are really sweet. And a book featuring unconventional love, a book with at least one healthy parental relationship, which is a magical element, a binge read, a book featuring dreams, curses, or flight, and that's all. Finally, the last book I read was Heartstopper Volume 1. I decided I want to read like a book of this every week because I've only ever binged these, so like I'm gonna try and break it up. I also picked this up mainly because The Hidden Witch ends with H. This one starts with H, so it counts for the prompt of like the title, last letter, title, first letter. So this book I've already talked about, you already know about it. It is a graphic novel by Alice Osman about these 2 boys who meet, become friends, and maybe something more. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars. I counted it for the Prideathon as a book predicted, a 5-star prediction, which is like a little pushing it because I have given it 5 stars in the past and I knew it was going to be, but I did predict I was going to give it 5 stars. So it counts. I don't have too much else to say about it. This book is LGBTQ+. It is a comfort read for sure. I've actually already read it this year, so it is a creative fave. I don't know exactly who, but I know so many people love these books, so I'm sure it's on somebody's favorite list. And then the first letter, last letter prompt. And for the Studio Ghibli Beatathon, I counted this as a book with a wholesome or pure main character because they just are. A book with a colorful cover, a book with a healthy parental relationship, a binge read, a book with a sibling relationship, and a book with romance. Although the romance kind of picks up more in the next one. Still counted it. So yes, these were all the books I read this week, and I think overall it went pretty well. So I'm excited to go on into the future books, and yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a super lovely day, evening, morning, night, whatever time it is for you, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye, friends!